What's going on YouTube? My name is FG3000, back in the place to be, and welcome back to the MMO Hopper. In today's video, my top 13 MMOs in various categories. So without any further ado, let's get right to the list. And for the first category, Best ARPG MMO, if you've been subscribed to my channel, this comes as no surprise. Marvel Heroes 2016. The best way I can sum this game up, take whatever your favorite ARPG is and add about 60 different classes to it. Add incredibly impactful combat, add PvE, add events, add raids, add PvP, add an incredibly fair business model, and you have Marvel Heroes 2016, my favorite ARPG MMO. And for the next category, the most immersive MMO has to go to Elder Scrolls Online. Now, there are a ton of different facets that make this MMO very immersive, whether it's the super clean UI, the fully voice-acted quests, the graphics, the locations. But one thing that was the most compelling for me was walking into a village, interacting with NPCs, pickpocketing guards that stray too far from the beaten path, breaking into houses and stealing lettuce and using that lettuce to create food for my character, assassinating NPCs and getting chased by guards, going to an underground location and selling all of my wares on the black market. Most immersive MMO by a long shot in my opinion, Elder Scrolls Online. Now this next game is the only game that I feel does the term action combat any real justice. The best combat MMO on the market today in my opinion, Blade and Soul. Now if you take a big old pot of MMO combat and you throw in combos, you throw in Twitch-based skills and reaction-based skills, you throw in flash, you throw in impact, and you stir it all up in a big old pot, you have Blade and Soul, the best action combat MMO on the market. Now this next game taught me having an amazing community can go a long way in making even dated games incredibly fun to play. The game that I feel has the best community in MMOs is EverQuest 2. This was a game that I would log on and people would remember my name. In Dungeon Finder, I got props for being a great tank so many times that eventually I was invited into a guild organically, not one of those spam invites that you see in so many other MMOs. Now, many people try to avoid low population MMOs because they don't want to feel alone. But the crazy thing about EverQuest 2, even given its low overall population, it was one of the most vocal, most welcoming communities that I ever had the joy of playing in. So, the best community MMO, in my opinion, EverQuest 2. Wow, I just learned that I suck at saying the word community. Anyway, on to the next category, Best Lobby-Based Dungeon Grinder. Once again, if you're subscribed to my channel, no surprise, this goes out to Dragon's Nest. This is a game that is constantly updated, has a diverse cast of characters, super impactful combat, my favorite type of round them all up and DPS them down gameplay. Now, if you look past the slightly dated graphics, you will find an incredibly fun dungeon-based lobby grinder in Dragon's Nest. Now this next category is a little bit odd, but the best MMO that I wish was slightly more populated was Asta Online. Now, let's be clear, this was a generic WoW clone, hotkey-based combat, quest hubs, you name it, it had it. However, the locations were so awe-inspiring. Even the enemies that were just in the newbie zone were incredibly diverse. This was a game that I just wanted to play just a little bit longer, but the thought of having no players to play with the entire journey to level cap was enough to turn me off, but sadly Asta Online is a game that was about 5 to 7 years too late. Best Browser Game MMO. That's all I'm gonna say. Now just recently I went on a journey checking out all of the most popular MMOs available on mobile, and I found Summoners Wars. Now artistically this game is not my cup of tea, but as far as the actual game mechanics, this game was incredibly deep with team building and strategy, PvE, raids, PvP, city building, city defense, guild battles, chat, you have an active Reddit community, an active Twitch community. This game has pretty much everything in a mobile title, so best mobile MMO has to go to Summoners Wars. Now this next category is the next MMO that I'm looking forward to, and that has to go out to Revelation Online. Now, this is a game, as far as gameplay wise, I don't really have a lot of details. This game kind of came out of left field for me, but the fact that my.com is behind it gives me a little bit of hope that the game will not be ruined by its publisher. Sure, my.com has had a few missteps with Skyforge, but I think they learned a lot of valuable lessons, and today's my.com is completely different than where they were a couple of years ago. So the next MMO that I'm looking forward to is Revelation Online. Now these next few categories might rustle a few feathers, but it's just like my opinion, man. Don't take it the wrong way. So the next category, worst combat in a high-profile MMO. Now, I have to make sure I preface that because there are lots of MMOs out there that have way worse combat than this game. Of course, I know that. But the worst combat in a high-profile MMO, for me, has to go to Final Fantasy XIV. Now, granted, the graphics are great, the animation's great, it's all nice and flashy and impactful, but Final Fantasy XIV has to have some of the slowest, most boring combat that I've ever played in any MMO. It takes a lot to make me bored playing DPS in a dungeon, but Final Fantasy XIV somehow can pull it off to make me bored as a DPS, bored as a tank. The only thing that gave me any type of excitement or thrill was healing in this game because I decided where the people lived or died. That's the only excitement that I ever got out of Final Fantasy XIV combat. And if all of those things that I just said wasn't enough, I'm in dungeons fighting turtles. I'm in dungeons fighting bats and bees that one-shot me. And to cap it all off, HP bars of enemies that feel like you really don't have any impact on them at all. Final Fantasy XIV has to be the worst combat from any high-profile MMO that I've ever played. Alright, so hopefully you guys are still with me. The next category goes to most boring high-profile MMO, and that game is Black Desert. Now, this is a game where everybody is super excited because you can have your workers make potatoes and beer for you. You can AFK fish while you're at work. You can have your horse walk around in circles while you sleep. You can grind mobs for days on end for only a couple of percentage points. And for all those things, I have to ask, yeah, you can do all of those things, but is any of it fun? And for me, it wasn't. And for the second to last category, the best overall MMO, and I see you out there. You're like, FG, please don't say what I think you're gonna say. But the fact that you say that proves that this game is by far the best overall MMO on the market, and it's not even close. It's the World of Warcraft. Let's be honest here. Let's tell ourselves the truth. There is no game out there that has more content and more polish than the World of Warcraft. Even with the debacle that was Warlords of Draenor, WoW is still the undisputed king. You might not like it, but that doesn't change the fact that you're probably gonna be there right next to me with my Demon Hunter when Legion comes out. So best overall MMO is still the reigning champion, the World of Warcraft. So just like all of my other top lists, I want to hear something from you as well. So number 13, I want all of you guys to go in the comment section and answer this question because I'm very curious to hear the answer. So the number 13 category is this. Are you ready? This is going to be a little bit different. If you were trapped in a prison cell with internet access, and you had to bring one MMO with you that you haven't really played that much before, all right? It has to be an MMO that you haven't really played that much of, and you were trapped in a prison cell for 1 year, and you can only bring this one MMO, which game would it be? And for me, it would be Lord of the Rings Online. This is the game that I always kind of look at, I'm very curious about, but I never have really dedicated any time to play it. I'm actually subscribed to somebody here on YouTube. It's a girl that plays Lord of the Rings Online with her brother, and I watch all of the videos, even though I don't even play the game. So go in the comment section below and tell me what game that you haven't really played a lot of, but you would be willing to be trapped with it for an entire year. I would love to hear your comments. Once again, my name is FG3000. This is my top 13 MMOs, and I'll see you next video. Later.